Hey, welcome back, Ultimate Speed Shop. It has been a while since we videoed. There's a reason for that. But I thought I'd give you an update on where we're at on the old 55 Chevy. It has been a few weeks and we have been making progress on it, but at the same time, it's been slow progress because I've always found if you got a lot of money, you don't have time. If you got a lot of time, you don't have money. So my work decided they needed some engines, so they kicked in overtime. So I've been working there an extra day, which only leaves me one day a week to work on this. And then spring hits and wife wants some trees trimmed, and I like my yard to look nice, and yada, yada, yada. Anyway. Here's where we're at on the 55. Last time I think we were on it, compression really sucked. It was really bad. I couldn't get it to even fire off. Anyway, I tore apart the 265 that I had bought from another 56 Chevy, which is pretty much now in these boxes. You can see the heads and stuff in it. Anyway, that engine's plumb wore out. Plan was possibly rebuild that engine, put it in here, and then take this engine out and rebuild it and put that in the old Essex hot rod we're going to build. But I got thinking, and then I got upset. I got mad. I'm like, this engine should run. So after I tore that engine down, I went back to this engine. My own stupidity. So when I got this, when we pulled this out of the field, it had been a long time since it run, 45 years. Well, it sat since 75, so hadn't run since 75. So when I got it, no wires were hooked up to the distributor. The cap was on, but all the wires were off the distributor. So I figured, okay, I'm gonna change points, change condenser, change wires, change plugs, and it should fire off. So got to that point, cranked, nothing. But when I put this at top dead center, the rotor always never looked right to me. That should have been that right there is a blinking light of, hey, stupid, this is the problem. But here we go. This is what happened. So you see this line here. This is a vacuum line from the carburetor that goes to the vacuum advance. Most of them on newer cars are rubber, if they even have them. This one's a hard line, as you can see. It's metal. It's steel. Well, what I did to get this running is I pulled this line completely, and I had this coil moved, and I had my self-starter button hooked to the starter here. And I cranked this thing all the way over to where the can was clear over here. And lo and behold, it wanted to start. And so, duh. What had happened, for some reason, this was a tooth off. I popped it out, because you can't have it running there with that, because this is going to get in the way. So you have to have the distributor on here clocked right, and you need this distributor in here correctly for proper oil pressure on this 265 engine. It is essential on this engine. Just this era small block, the early 55, probably 56 small blocks. You need the distributor in the right area to make the oil pressure run. So anyway, popped this out, went over a tooth. She fires right up. She actually runs good. Now, the reason you haven't seen any videos, I have footage. I have a lot of footage of getting this thing running, starting it. Me and my buddy come over. Still got no brakes right now, but me and my buddy come over. So once I had this thing running, I knew it would run. I'm like, good deal. Now we can test out the transmission, test out some other stuff. I went to put the radiator in, it leaked. So as you can see, new aluminum radiator. I called to get the radiator re-cored from a local shop here. They're like, well, a rough guesstimate, I'm not quite sure, but I think the last one we did was $500. This aluminum radiator, which is 10 times the radiator as far as cooling goes of the stock radiator in this car, was $140. And it's a nice radiator, as you can tell. So, yeah, it looks out of place where it's at. I may paint it black. I don't know. Anyway, got the radiator in. Got a new water pump on, as you can see. So, hooked a new water pump on. I've bypassed the heater hoses for now. New water pump, new belt, new wires. I actually run the wires correctly through the back and up to the side. Once I knew it was running, it's good to go. So, good to go. My buddy come over, helped me for a while, and I said, let's take it for a spin. I have video footage of this thing driving out there around. Missing a door, because the door is off. I took the door off, sent him up to Logan to get them fixed. Now it's missing 2 doors. I got one back. We'll talk about that. But we went cruising this thing. 3 doors instead of 4. No brakes. And shifts through all the gears. Good time. We went around the block. We went around the block again. And then I lost all my shifting. My clutch, basically. I lost my clutch. Anyway, limped it back home. Come to find out, the only thing that was wrong was the spring from the clutch pedal to the clutch fork had broke, so the rod fell off. We went, got another spring, took it for another run around the block, no brakes. I've got footage of all that. I had every intention of sitting down at the computer, figuring out how to edit, because I do one takes like I'm doing right now. Figuring out how to edit all of the footage that I've got into one video. I'm still probably going to do it, but I'll be honest with you. Sitting down at a computer for me, trying to figure that out, is like brain numbing. I need to probably pay someone to do it for me, because I have no motivation to sit down at the computer and to figure it out. Maybe my daughter will. My son, who's on the camera right now, I really wanted him to, but he's working and going to school, high school. He's never around. He's got a girlfriend. You know how that goes. My daughter, she's 10, almost should be 11 in October. Maybe I can talk her into it. I may, when I'm bored, figure it out. Springtime, I'm not going to do it, because I love the weather. I love being out here way more than I like sitting at a computer editing videos. Anyway, that's why I don't have the footage. Eventually, I will do footage of that, and I will get more footage when I get this off jack stands. Right now, it's on 4 jack stands because we're going through the brakes. So, it runs, it drives, it doesn't stop still, but we're working on it. So, as you can see here, like I said earlier, when you got money, you don't have time. When you got time, you don't have money. I have all kinds of parts here to put into this. I've got all brand new wheel cylinders for all the way around. I've got brake shoes. I have all new rubber lines. I've got everything to get these brakes up to snuff. I just haven't had the time to do it. So we decided, we went back and forth, me and my dad went back and forth whether to put disc brakes on it or not. Like I said, this is a budget build. It's never going to be a high dollar street machine where it's completely restored. I didn't really see the sense in putting disc brakes on it. And originally I was just going to run the drums. We are going to do some upgrades. One of the upgrades is here. One thing that I do think is important is a dual master cylinder. 55, they had the single master cylinder. So one line, you get a leak in any 4 of your wheel cylinders, you're going to lose all your fluid. You're going to have no brakes. You can get a 67 Camaro dual master cylinder. There's others that you can use. I went with 67 drum Camaro master cylinder. I even thought about putting a power booster on it. I don't think I need to. And if I decide to later on, I can use this and put one on, just buy the power booster. But the dipstick's right there. I just basically didn't want to mess with it. I wanted the easiness. And this will be good. So we've got an upgrade for the brakes as far as the dual master cylinder. It's an easy upgrade. Millions or hundreds of people do it. Thousands of people have done it. They did it in the 60s and the 70s. That was common. A lot of people nowadays, if they're putting a lot of money in a Chevy, they'll put disc brakes on. But we're not doing that. We're going to go with the dual. All you got to do is get your master cylinder. This master cylinder was actually $10 cheaper than the 55 stock master cylinder. Might even been 20 bucks cheaper. But it was cheaper. Anyway, so I got a master cylinder. You need a 6-foot line, a bendable brake line, 1 plug, and a union. That's all you need to make this a dual master cylinder. So it's actually a piece of cake. So that's in the works. What else we got? Yeah, these are all these are brake shoes. I did pick up a Carb Rebuild Kit. I have not touched this carburetor. It actually runs and idles pretty good. It's got a bog right when you get on it. I'm hoping this will fix it. I'll go through the carburetor. Eventually, I mean, this is like 15 bucks. Eventually, it's coming off. 4 barrels going to go on. I'm not going to stick with the 2 barrel. We'll put a 4 barrel on it. If we don't do a 4 barrel, if we're going to stick with 2 barrels, we're going to have at least 2, if not 3, 2 barrels on there. So you got to be cool. So okay, so plan was to go through the brakes. I was going to go with the stock wheel bearings. Now, for those that you don't know, in 55, the wheel bearings on the front of the 55 are ball bearings. They're not roller bearings. They're not the tapered bearings like is on pretty much everything. And they've had their problems. You read the forums, everyone says you have to torque them exactly. You torque them tight to 33 foot-pounds, and then you back it off to the very next hole on it, and there's a whole service manual deal. Anyway, I was all planning on doing that. Pulled them off. I got one here. So these have never. Here's the front brake drum. Still has the rivets on it. So this hub has never been off the brake drum. Anyway, I was cleaning it up. Clean the first. This is the inner bearing of this. This is the inner. That's what I mean by ball bearings. So the inner race, inner bearing goes there, and then your dust seal goes on. Cleaning it up, as you can see, looks pretty dang good. Not bad. Got to the front one. That sucks. See all that pitting? Both sides were just like this. Lots of pitting. This bearing is actually bad. It actually got into the race. Or not the race, but the cage of this bearing. The balls are bad. The other side, the ball bearing, the wheel bearing, excuse me, looked good, but the race looked just like this. Lots of pitting, lots of badness. So at that point, I was like, well, I got a choice. There's another common upgrade, 60s, 70s, that they did a lot. Yeah, 60s and 70s. These wheel bearings aren't just a problem nowadays. They were a problem back then. They were not that good. That's why they went away from them. So an upgrade, along with your dual master cylinder, is people would find a wheel hub off I want to say 61 to 68 full-size GM car. Your Bel Air, your Impala, your your full-size car. Chevelle will not work. Chevelle's not considered a full-size car. The off-spacing is different. But 61 to 68 full-size Chevy car, you can get the hub off them. They have tapered bearings. They have better seals. And you can run all of your stock brake drum, brake shoe, brake hardware, and just use that hub. So I thought about doing that when I saw the ball bearings. I researched it and I'm like, well, that might be an option. I'm trying to go as low cost on this. We want to get this just cruising for as cheap as we can. But so my initial plan was bag it. I'm just going to find 2 new wheel bearings and we'll slap them in there. Well, lo and behold, I looked. Rock Auto had the inner bearings, but not the outer bearings. The outer bearings what I need. I kind of looked around town. Nobody had them. Finally, I was like, what the heck? And I went to Eckler's. Eckler's has them. All the Tri-5 distributors have them. Dan Chuck, Eckler's, H&H, all of them have them. The cheapest I found was $85 for 1 bearing, and I needed 2. I'm not spending $160 by the time you do shipping, $175, $200 on crappy bearings to put in here. So I decided I talked to my dad, we pulled the trigger. I found some hubs off a 65 Bel Air off eBay. Got them shipping to me. I'm actually waiting for them to get here now. But we're going with all new. See, I got all new bearings here. We got new bearings and races. These are Timken bearings, made in the USA. Good bearings. So, for the price of all the wheel bearings that I need, the 2 wheel sills, the dust caps, and the hubs, I'm still cheaper than 2 original wheel bearings. So, that's a no-brainer. That's what we're doing. Waiting for them to show up. When they show up, I gotta still clean up this drum. I've got 1 drum cleaned up somewhere around here, but I gotta get the rivets off so that I can get them going. Put all the new brake parts on. I've got all the brake lines broke loose for the hard lines, and they're all loose and good. So I'm ready to rock and roll. I don't really need to wait for that hub before doing the brakes, but I just have had no time. Been busy. So, what else have we done on this? Let's tell you what else we've done. So right now, as you can see, there's the other brake drum. As you can see, we're on, it's completely on jack stands. The spindles are good. So let me tell you this, when you do that upgrade, you don't need to change backing plates. You don't need to change spindles. That hub, which is just your hub with the bearings in it and your lug nuts, it's completely interchangeable. You use this spindle, you use all the 55 hardware and drums, so it looks stock if you're going for a retro type thing, but you will have way more reliable bearings in there. And if you're on the road, like we're planning on driving this thing all over, and you have a wheel bearing starting to go bad on you, you can find parts, which is nice. You can go to O'Reilly's and get these. They have them, and they're dirt cheap. So, anyway, That's where we're at. And the plan is we are going to drive this thing. We're planning to drive this thing all over. Right now, the goal is to get it ready for Speed Week. We got a little bit of time. Speed Week starts August 8th. Goes that whole week. The plan is to get this out on the salt for Speed Week. So that's our deadline. So we got a little bit of time, but we got a lot of work also. So that's what we're shooting for. And if you haven't, I've said this before, we love Speed Week at our house at Olson Speed Shop. We love Speed Week. We go out every year. If you have not been, let me tell you this, if you have not been and you live in Utah, there's something wrong with you. If you're watching this video, obviously you're into hot rods and mechanical stuff, and you have not been, you need to go. There's people that travel from other countries to go there. We have it right in our backyard, and I dare say there's quite a few hot rodders that have not gone to Speed Week. So go. If anything, go. It is well worth it. That is the hot rod mecca if you want to see hot rods. You don't even have to be into racing. I'll be honest, we don't watch a ton of the racing. We like to watch them at the starting line. We go to the end line. Most of the time we spend in the pits, and we camp out, and we just have a good time. So anyway, done a little bit of cleanup here. As you can see, we've got patching to do. Some of the floors have holes in them. They look about like the trunk does. The trunk's pretty bad. If you haven't seen, go back to some past videos. The trunk's pretty rough. But I vacuumed out I got a big vacuum, big shop vac. I've filled it up twice with crap that was in here. I pulled out the back seat. So this is the back seat. I pulled this out, and there was not a mouse house in it. There was not a mouse condominium. There was like a mouse town, city. It was like LA of Mouseville. That thing was so full. It was pretty rough. I sucked a lot of skeletalized mouse out. I just put an M95 on. I should have put a respirator on. Luckily, I didn't get hantavirus, but it was bad. It was rough. So anyway, this is like 100% better. Now, I have not pulled this off. This is just a seat cover. This is not the seats. I've been doing a little bit. I have not pulled it off yet, but if you look under here, this is the original 55 seat. And it is not stained. This is shadows. But look here. The stitching is in. This is usually where they're going to wear out and rip. Look at that. So, I've got high hopes. I'm going to pull the seat completely out so that I can get any kind of mouse, anything out of this car. I don't like mice. I don't want them around. I don't want remnants of them. There's not going to be one even little bitty turd in this thing when I'm done. But this looks good. The same thing with this. It's a different seat cover on this. This is just a seat cover. Underneath is the original. The back seat doesn't look to be as nice as the front, which is surprising because usually it's the opposite. But I think it's going to be okay. We're going to pull it, check it out. If you sit in this, my wife used to say it stinks, it smells bad. To me, yeah, it did have a smell, but all old cars have a smell. When I vacuumed out the Mouse LA City, the smell got significantly better. Now it just smells like good old car, not good old car mixed with LA, Mouseville. So, okay, come on. We're going to the back. So, got a door back from my dad. Now, when we got this, all four doors would not open. They wouldn't open at all. we did get, right now there's still one. This passenger door or this back door, driver's back door, won't open. All the rest open, the 3 of them open. But the windows were completely seized. You could not roll them down. They did not open. They were a mess. So my dad took the time, and I just gave him the whole door, and lo and behold, check it out. He's got them working good. The only thing that we need, see, we're going good. We'll clean up the glass still, but we do have new sills all the way around, and the door panels were trash. We'll get new door panels. That's a no-brainer. But we do have new sills. Probably change the window felts eventually, but it works. It opens, it locks, he did a good job. So this was the first door he did. I ran up, I grabbed this one from him, and I gave him the other one. So now we're missing 2 doors on this. I gave him the other one. He's right in the process of working that out. He's got it pretty much all the way worked out, other than I think he's waiting on some rollers from Eckler's or some bump stops that he had to get parts for. So, in fact, here's some door sills that I ordered for it. So we got sills. So we'll replace those. As you can see, we got a lot of good parts on this. We got a lot of work to do, and we're ready to do it as soon as we get the time. I pulled the tail lights out. If you guys remember past videos, all the tail lights were busted. All of them and the reverse lights were busted out of it. Took them up to my dad. He loves that meticulous stuff. He had new lenses. I actually found some brand new lenses in this under the seat, and he bought some with blue dots in them. We kind of like the blue dot 50s style. We'll run them, but we got some spares if we need it, or something to hang on the garage wall. We picked up these heads when we're working on the engine. These are power pack heads. Eventually, if we build a motor for this, we'll throw them on. But that's why we got them there. The other thing we did, so you can see we've been making progress. The other thing we've done is we pulled out the fuel tank. Not in horrible condition, but it's not in the best of condition. The inside, actually, so right here is the fuel. That's what I pulled out of it. Now, if you look at it, that looks like regular fuel, which it is. And so we got about 2.5 gallons of regular fuel, and we're gonna throw that to the dump. But it doesn't smell all that bad. It's not that varnished. I mean, it is. It is. Okay, it is. But I think I could have filled up that tank with ethanol free if I would have filled it all the way up and run a filter. I think I'd have been just fine. But I pulled down the fuel tank. A couple reasons. I obviously wanted to look inside, see if it was rusted, and it wasn't. It's not bad. It actually looks pretty dang good. There were like 3 rocks and 2 sticks in it, where some kids threw in some rocks and sticks. Probably those kids now are probably older than I am. Who put that in back in '75 when they parked this in a field? So, anyways, fuel tank's out. While the fuel tank's out, you guys have seen the trunk of this. I still have the old paper from when Kennedy was slain in the back. I'm trying to figure out a way to sneak that out to preserve it. But while the fuel tank's out, I'll patch up the floor. The floors need to be patched, and it's a good time to get to both sides of it and clean it up real well. Put some rust preventer on it, and so that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. So basically, we're gonna get the brakes done. I think I have all day next Saturday to work on this, which is the first in a couple weeks. I haven't had I haven't even had Saturdays to work on it. So by next Saturday, all these brakes should be done. I'll try to get some footage, not just one shot footage like I do now. And get the brakes done. Take it for a spin. We'll take you guys for a spin in it. It's running and driving, and hopefully braking at that point. B-R-A-K-I-N-G, not B-R-E-A-K-I-N-G. So, and the last thing I wanted to show was, so you guys have seen my Essex, which is buried right now in a pile of parts. This eventually will be our salt flat hot rod. 32 Ford frame here. All of my front, I got all the front suspension parts under this pile, really. I got the rear end. So once this is up and going, this is gonna go into its place. But I had a third door for this Essex. It's a 27 Essex. Essex turned into a Hudson, if you don't know what an Essex is. And then Hudson Hornet. Anyway, I had a third door kicking around. I was like, what do I want to do with it? And I run across a guy that's a phenomenal sign painter, pinstriper, rat fink painter. And so I hit him up. I said, hey, I got this door. I want to put my shop logo on it. Can you do it? And he's like, yep, I can. Bring it over. So I got this painted from him. So we did the logo on it. I told him there's two things. I either wanted my logo or I wanted the number 273 on it, because that, if I do put a number on that ever, it'll be 273. The reason it's 273 is it's a 27 Essex, and I was born in 73, so kind of a mix between 27 and 73. Anyway, I think he did phenomenal work. He's local here in Utah. If you want his name, throw me a comment, private message me. But it looks awesome. He originally was going to do a circle, and he did a little research on Essex, and this is actually the Essex logo. They had the whatever, it's not a stop sign, and they had Essex in here, so he put that on. I like it. I think it turned out great. It's got the pinstripe on. It looks like it's been there for a long time, which is exactly what I wanted. And basically this door is just going to go for garage wall art. I am going to chop it, like I'm going to chop that one. I'll probably take, I'm thinking 5 inches out of it is what I want to chop that Essex. So I'll pull 5 inches out of it, drop it down. It'll eventually go on the garage wall just for a conversation piece. But I thought that was cool. So anyways, sorry it's been so long since we've done videos. Like I said, I got a lot of footage. I just couldn't get myself to sit down and edit it. So this is what you get. Sorry. But we'll work on it. I'll get my daughter going on some editing. She'll like that. I'll give her a buck for every video she edits. Then she'd really be interested. Anyways, so till next video, stay safe. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell if you like what you see. If you do have any editing software that you guys love and that is user friendly, because like I said, sitting at a computer is just brain numbing to me. It's very painful. So if it's easy to use and I can do it fairly quick, videos will get immensely better, most likely. So anyway, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.